All right, let's kick things off. Picture this. You're behind the wheel of a car. You've been driving for, about 18 hours straight. Your eyes feel like they're full of sand, and you've still got a couple hundred miles to go. That's the challenge we're diving into today. A completely nonstop, 1,200-mile drive from New York City all the way down to Miami. And that really brings up the big question, right? Is a journey like this some epic test of endurance, a story you're going to tell for the rest of your life? Or is it just a straight up brutal, soul crushing nightmare that no sane person should ever attempt? Well, we're about to find out. Okay, so let's get into the why of all this. The whole point of this crazy drive was actually pretty simple. We needed to set up baseline. We took a completely standard gas guzzling SUV and just asked, how long does this classic American road trip actually take? And what does it really cost when you push it to the absolute limit? Now, the rules for what we kind of dubbed our own Iron Butt Challenge were simple, but they were also absolutely brutal. You start in New York City with a full tank of gas, and you don't stop till you hit Miami. The big rules: rule number 1, no hotels. And rule number 2, absolutely no sleeping. The goal was purely scientific. Just measure the total time and costs to create a benchmark for a future test. You know, before we get into all the pain and suffering, there was one small, shining piece of good news we discovered. For anyone out there actually planning a drive down I-95, you can relax a little about the tolls. Turns out your northern E-ZPass now works perfectly on Florida's SunPass system. It's a tiny detail, I know, but trust me, it's one less thing to worry about when your brain is already completely fried. The thing is, the first few hours of a trip like this are kind of easy. They just fly by on adrenaline and excitement. But the real journey, the true test, that begins when the sun goes down and you have to somehow survive the dead of night. And here we are. This is what I call the 2 a.m. grind. Once you hit those long, dark, empty stretches of I-95 and Virginia and the Carolinas, the whole world just disappears. It is pitch black, you feel like you're the only car for miles and miles, and that deep, bone-wearing exhaustion really starts to take hold. And it's out there in the dark that you realize something. The biggest enemy on a trip like this isn't the hit to your wallet every time you stop for gas. It's the drain on your mind. It's this very real and, frankly, pretty scary documented state called highway hypnosis. It's when your brain basically switches to autopilot. You're still steering the car, you're reacting to what's on the road, but you're not fully there. You have no real memory of it. It is incredibly dangerous, and it's the huge unseen risk you take when you force yourself to drive through the night. And the physical punishment, oh man, it's just relentless. You are manually steering a 2-ton vehicle for almost a full day. Your back is aching, your legs are cramping up, and your only relief is stumbling into some fluorescent-lit gas station for another cup of truly, truly terrible coffee. It's just a grueling, mind-numbing cycle. But then, after what feels like an actual eternity, you see it, the Welcome to Florida sign, the palm trees, the sun. The relief is unbelievable, but you're basically a zombie behind the wheel. So, after all that, what was the final damage? We did it. We completed the challenge. But let me tell you, there was no celebration. There were no high fives. We were just, completely and utterly destroyed, both physically and mentally. So the total time from the second we left New York City to the moment we arrived in Miami, 19 hours and 45 minutes. Almost 20 hours trapped inside a car. And the total cost for gasoline to cover all those 1,150 miles? $185. So, here's the crucial point. Let's look at the final breakdown. You save, maybe $150 by not getting a hotel room for the night? The real question you gotta ask is, was that savings worth the physical pain, the mental exhaustion, and the sheer danger of driving in that state? And that brings us to the real reason we put ourselves through all of this in the first place. This whole grueling ordeal, well, it was just part one of a much larger experiment. Because next up, we're doing the exact same trip in a Tesla. And this creates a really interesting debate, right? On one hand, its autopilot system could be a total game changer, a real savior, fighting off that mental fatigue and highway hypnosis. But on the other hand, are those forced mandatory charging stops going to add hours and hours to the trip, making it an even bigger nightmare? So that's the final question we're left with. What's the real torture test here? Is it driving a gas car straight through with absolutely zero sleep? Or is it driving an EV where the car itself forces you to stop over and over and over again? We're going to find out next time.